Olá, muito bem-vindo ao Gregario Cycling. Eu sou o Leandro Bittar e apresento para você um podcast que vale a pena ouvir de novo. Um papo muito especial com o israelense Guy Niv, um ciclista da equipe Israel Premier Tech que compete o Tour de France nesse momento. Ele substituiu de última hora o sul-africano Darryl Impey. O Guy Niv já teve 2 vezes aqui com a gente na Gregario. Na primeira, ele contou a expectativa para o primeiro Tour de France dele, ele ia se tornar o primeiro israelense na prova. Agora, ele já completou as 3 grandes voltas, está competindo o seu segundo Tour de France e conta aqui como que é a dieta, o dia a dia de alimentação de um ciclista durante o Tour de France. Por isso que a gente achou legal trazer ele de volta, um papo muito legal que ele teve com o Nicolas Sessler. Então confere aí Guy Niv no Gregario Cycling porque vale a pena ouvir de novo.
Guy Niv, it's with an incredible honor and a great pleasure that we receive you now again as a second time here on the Gregario podcast.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It's an honor. I think a rare opportunity for me to be on the same peloton with 2 pro riders and one that has ridden the Tour de France.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to be invited to ride with you guys in Brazil. Until then, I'm looking forward to my next opportunity to race against Nicolas. It's been a while actually since we have been in the same peloton.
Yeah, that's true. We have ridden a lot in amateur. Then we were teammates, for people who don't know, for a short period when I was with Israel. And since then, Guy's career has skyrocketed upwards. Guy has already 5 Grand Tours under your curriculum, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, five starts. The first one was really short, only 5 days due to stomach issues. But since then, I have full 4 Grand Tours, 2 Giro, 1 Tour de France, and 1 Vuelta.
And Guy, it's not on the specific topic, but cannot miss the opportunity. How did it felt when you completed your first Grand Tour?
I was super excited to know that I'm able to do this mission called the Grand Tour. I was obviously really exhausted, but it's really an important milestone in the career of a pro cyclist to know that you have done 3 weeks of racing. And I have to admit that the body is getting used to it. Remembering the feeling in the finish line of the first Grand Tour that I finished in the Giro of 2019, and 2 years later, I did again the Giro and also the Vuelta at the same season. And I was completely different rider, not only surviving, but being able to race at some stages, not in all of them. But it's amazing feeling. And of course, you are really, really exhausted when you finished.
Does it redefine your concept of exhaustion after you finish a Grand Tour?
Of course, yes. You don't really... You're not able to find those levels of tiredness and fatigue in training camp or in any other race. It's only a Grand Tour will put you in this kind of fatigue levels, and you cannot explain how the body feels on the 3rd week. By the way, sometimes it's somehow feeling better, not in the first Grand Tour, but let's say in the 3rd or the 4th one. The 3rd week was easier for me than the 2nd week. But you learn about yourself a lot in a Grand Tour, and for sure you also learn the boundaries and the limit of fatigue and how tired can you be.
That must be amazing, man. I must say that is something that is still on my to-do list, but I'm sure that it's, like you said, it will teach a lot yourself about what your capabilities are and about your body. And exactly. I think this connects a bit to the thematic of the program here. That is the food, what the gasoline that you ingest to be able to do 3 weeks of racing, a Tour, a Giro, a Vuelta. And I think a curiosity of everybody, how is the daily routine during a Grand Tour?
Yeah, the starts are noontime. If it's a long stage, it's at 12. Sometimes we start even at 1. The Vuelta like to start late and to finish late. So yeah, the morning is quite chill. You can sleep easily until 8, sometimes 8:30, and you have breakfast 3 to 3.5 hours before the race, a big breakfast, and then will be a transfer for the start. Normally we will arrive to the start point an hour and a half, maybe even close to 2 hours before the start. When I say transfer, is in the bus of the team. The team buses are pretty much the locker room of, if you consider a football team. So our bus is our locker room. We have their showers, we have their kitchen, we have their sometimes even a massage table if there is a long travel after the stage to start having massages. There we have the briefing before the race with the director sportive. So yeah, we're going to have a transfer to the start. Sometimes it can be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and sometimes it can also be in the around 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, which is also quite exhausting part of a Grand Tour. The race will be in the short stages, 3.5, 4 hours, and the long ones are more than 6 hours, sometimes even 7 hours in the Giro. So you will finish afternoon between 5 to 6. You get to the bus. Like I said, it's immediately you're going to have a recovery shake, shower, and a post-race meal that's been cooked by the chef. And then you have a transfer to the next hotel. Bike race is like a circus. We move from a point to a point all around Italy or France or Spain. And once you arrive to the hotel by close to 7 p.m., there will be the routine of the recovery, which includes massage, dinner, and pretty much then the day is over and you will go to sleep. You will try to go to sleep. Maybe we'll talk about it later, but one of the difficulties about Grand Tour is falling asleep. But yeah, that's the main routine of the day.
It's incredible. While the fatigue grows, it's strange, but it becomes more difficult to sleep. And that's an important point. But something that I would like to say, normally we would think, it's a very exhausting and demanding routine. You spend a lot of calories. And to support the quality of and the level of your performance, you need to eat a lot. But basically, for example, you come to the buffet of a hotel, or how does it work? Let's say your breakfast. What do you eat for breakfast in a normal race day?
Let's put it in two different aspects. The first scenario will be a bit smaller race, let's call it like that, which we will not have our private chef with us, and then we will just go to the hotel of the race and have a food from the buffet there. The second scenario will be the big races. The big races are the Grand Tours, and not only the Grand Tours, also races such as Critérium de Dauphiné, Tour de Suisse, some big Tirreno Adriatico. And there we have a private chef. Most of the big teams now are having a private chef with them in a kitchen truck. It's amazing to see how there is a kitchen rolling on 4 wheels. In the kitchen truck, there is the chef, and he will make us everything and his own breakfast. Even if it's a buffet breakfast or a private chef breakfast, I will try to eat the same, obviously. The advantage of having a private chef is, first, is more safe in terms of, let's say, when you eat in a big buffet, you get more chances to get stomach problems with viruses and with food that is not 100% fresh. And when you have the chef cooking for you, you know it's coming straight to you. And the second thing is that you can also control easier and better on what you eat. And you know that the quality of the food will be good. And if we ask about what I'm eating, so carbs, a lot of carbs. Before the race, let's say it's a new thing that I started this in 2021, but I even before the big races have rice for breakfast. I try to avoid it because it's not so pleasant. I try to eat only bread and with eggs and avocado, some cheese, but it's not enough. My breakfast will include rice with porridge. I will mix rice and porridge together. I will still have an omelette with 2 eggs to have some protein as well, but you need the fuel, and the fuel is carbs.
sometimes we think and we see those healthy fit diets, and you see that super beautiful Instagram picture of an omelette with an avocado and some nuts, and people think that that's being fit and healthy, but in the end, actually, it's way simpler than people think. And basically, the full energy is eating a lot and a lot of carbs.
Yeah, I have to say, to emphasize that a Grand Tour is a very unique situation. I mean, even in training camp that we are doing an intense training camp, I will not eat this breakfast, like the rice breakfast. It's only during a stage race, a long one. But if we speak about numbers of calories, I will, and I'm a small rider, and small riders are burning less. So just to have a perspective, only from the race, I will burn between 3,500 calories to 5,000 calories. So it comes to a daily burn of 5,000 to 6,000 calories. And again, I'm a small rider. So the big riders comes close to, on the big days, close to 7,000. You need to eat a lot, and when you need to eat a lot, you also try to make it simple, and plain rice seems to work well to me. It's not so interesting, but that's what you need to do.
You have to train yourself to have so much intake of food, because replenishing even 3, but 5, 7,000 calories a day is not something that you are hungry for. So how do you have evolved on training your appetite and your stomach to so much intake to replenish the necessary energy?
First of all, you're 100% correct. It's really not that easy to eat so much. And on my first Grand Tours, I struggled with it. I remember it's still not easy, but the body is getting used to it as well. We do some things that called gut training, we call it, and it's mainly actually for the time on the bike that you need to eat a lot also during the race itself. So already in training camp, we start to eat close to what you will eat in a race. And if we speak about what you will eat in a race, it will be now it gets more and more, but I'm trying to aim for 80 to 100 grams of carbs per hour. And if we speak about what it means, 80 grams of carbs, it can be 2 to 3 gels, depends which brand it is, or it will be, we have a super carb drink of Morton, our supplying of the race food, and only in this bottle I will have 80 grams of carbs. We have the rice cakes, we have the energy bars. We try to make it a bit more interesting, but the body is just getting used to it slowly. It's not that you will manage to eat it and absorb everything well immediately, but you need to, it's like training on the physical aspect. You also need to train on this aspect.
As a spectator and a fan, I have noticed that during especially long races, when the riders get bottles, most of the time it's just water. You don't have powder on it. When you have on the neutral vehicle, most of your carbo comes from gels and bars and less from the mix. Or how does it work? You have a bottle of water and a bottle with powder.
No, actually, at least in our team, most of the time our bottles will be with some kind of sport drink. If it's the isotonic drink or just the fully carb drink. Sometimes you get to, like you said, to have one bottle of water and one bottle of, we call it the 160 or the 320, which are the two main Morton drinks that we have. That refers to the amount of calories we have in it, which is 160 or 320. 160 will be 40 grams of carbs and 320 will be 80 grams of carbs. In the Vuelta, when it's really hot, I will drink, I remember I was drinking a bit more water, just because it's hard to absorb everything, and also because it's hot, your body wants the feeling of water. But it's super important to have those sport drinks for the electrolytes, and for the energy, for the carbs. I think that at least half, maybe even more of the carbs that I'm taking is from drinks and not from food.
Connecting a bit with what Alvaro says and what you were saying before about having a team chef, I imagine that comes a day after 12, 13 days that you are eating the same rice and porridge, eggs, and in the race, gels, rice cake bars, gels, rice cake bars. Remember that we are talking about, let's say, a 5-hour stage, 80 grams per hour. We are saying that on a normal day, you might take 10 gels plus 5 bars every day. So it will come a moment that you will be like, but you cannot see food anymore. How important it is to have a good chef that when you go to the dinner table, you actually have something that you want to eat and that it motivates you to eat, that it gives you that mental boost, I guess.
100% agree. And it's 100% important. A good chef will make you a food that somehow we will find a way to make it interesting. There are possibilities to change, at least on the post-race meal and the dinner, less about the breakfast because you want to keep it simple. But after the race, you can make some different flavors, sauces. It can change between rice to pasta to potatoes, sweet potatoes, and also the main course will be more interesting if it's a fish, a meat, a chicken. I have pictures of quite a lot of the dishes that our chef is making, and I can tell you, sometimes when you are really, really tired in the race, one of the motivation you can find is that you come back to a really, really nice dinner in the evening with the food of the chef. Another thing that not a lot of people know is that because you need to have so many calories, you will also have a nice dessert. Not every day, and it's not going to be a full pocket of ice cream, but it's okay to have a slice of cake in the evening. You're going to burn it, and you need those calories. So, yeah, a good chef can make your life on a Grand Tour much easier and much nicer.
We have this say between the 3 Grand Tours, you have had the experience to do the Giro, which Italian cuisine is super famous for being really good. You have the Tour, which even though we relate French food with the best restaurants in the world and Michelin stars, but usually food in French is pretty bad. And the Vuelta, which also has really nice food. Between the 3, which one did you enjoy the most in general?
If you ask about the food, it doesn't really make any difference if it's Italy, France, or Spain, because we have our chef with us and he will make the same kind of food. In general, if you ask about which race I like the most, I think I will say the Giro. I don't know, the Giro, first of all, I really like Italy, and the climbs in Italy, I think, suits me better, really, really long climbs. The tour experience that I had was a lot of stress. The stress in the Tour de France is huge about everyone, and you feel it in the peloton. But if I would speak about myself, I would say that it was also a unique situation for me racing the Tour de France. There was a lot of pressure coming from the team because it was the first time in history that Israel had an Israeli rider was racing the Tour de France, and all the pressure was on me on that. First time an Israeli team in the Tour de France. So yeah, it have a lot of meanings in terms of crashes in the peloton, in terms of how the race is actually being raced. The Giro is more relaxed and more fun racing so far. Maybe in the end of the career, I will have different answer, but so far I most enjoyed the Giro.
Guy, if you can share, which is your power to weight ratio? Watts per kilogram?
A lot of people are putting it in different places.
Sure.
Defined it in a different way. I mean, when we climb a climb in a race, if it's let's say the more relaxed part of the race, where the break was gone and now it's only steady pace in the peloton. Most of the climbs, the peloton will climb in between 4.5 to 5.5 watts per kilo. Mm-hmm. This is the more relaxed part of the race. And once the race is on, of course, depends how long is the climb. But in the real front, they will race close to 6.5 watts per kilo to climbs of 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And let's say in my level, I can do 6 watts per kilo for those durations of climbs. But let's also remember that it's not that it's just a fresh test. It comes after 4 or 5 hours of racing, and it can be in the day 14, 15, or 18.
And plus, it's a race, so it's not a ride. So people attack, just something happens, you have to rush back to the car and go back to the peloton. So it's not just a bike in a park. Talking about a park, over the course of the year, between races, how do you manage your food?
For me, it's all about balance. There will be really limited times on the year that I will be super strict about not having desserts, not having anything that I will always try to combine some food that I know I have to eat and some food that I want to eat. It's also about knowing on which days you can eat more and on which days you need to eat less. I'm really one of the riders in the team that is not struggling with his weight. I'm pretty consistent through the whole season. Even in the off season, I'm not gaining so much kilograms because I know how to balance it well, I think. If I have, for example, a recovery day tomorrow, then the dinner of the day before will be quite light. I don't need the carbs today, but if I'm coming into 3 days of intense training block, on those days I will not really give myself a hard time if I want to have a nice dessert, and I know that I will need to eat a lot of carbs. So yeah, it's all about balance, and I really not believe in putting yourself in stress about food, because one of the advantage of our sport is that you burn a lot of calories. So I don't find it too hard to balance how much you need to eat, because we can eat quite a lot.
Eating, it's a pleasure, but it's also a necessity. Of course, the necessity, we need energy to survive. Have you learned how to listen to your body, and your desire to eat is related to the nutrients that you know you need? So let's say in a moment you need more protein, in a moment you need more carbo, in a moment you need more hydration. Have you learned how to read your body and desire for what your body needs to keep it running at the high potential and the high performance that you have been doing?
You learn what kind of food is working to you better and what works for you less. But the body is a really, really smart machine. I think it's the smartest machine in the world. And if you are in a high-intensity week of training or racing, the appetite will be big and you will want to eat a lot and you will need to eat a lot. But once I'm in the off-season, my appetite is way less, and I'm not eating the same amount of food on off-season when comparing to when I'm racing or even training.
Because I imagine the challenge is that your metabolic system accelerates and then it decelerates. And
yes.
I think the drama for keeping weight is this gap that maybe you keep consuming the same amount of calories, but you're not spending that amount of calories because you're off a race.
Let's say the 2-3 days after a race are the more dangerous places because on those days the metabolism is still quite high because it's recovering and it needs to build itself again. But on those days you are actually the race is finished and you will have some recovery days. those are not days that you need to limit your food to 0 carbs. You still need to have carbs and you still need to eat because, like I said, the body is recovering. And also for a good recovery, you need food. But on those days, you need to be careful because you're still going to be quite hungry, close to even to a race levels of hungry, but you don't really need the same amount of calories. So those days are more tricky. But after that, the body, all the system is more relaxed and coming down, and also the appetite is going down. So on the other days, it's getting back to normal, let's say.
I've seen pictures of some racers using a scale that they put their plate on to see how many grams are on the plate. Is this still frequent? Do you do it?
Like I said, I don't believe in putting a lot of stress on my food. I will do it in really some days or some races that are super, super important for me. I don't think it's healthy to live 365 days with a scale in your kitchen and always put all the food on a plate and see how much you consume. You need to live. But yeah, there will be some days that I will really try to know exactly the amount of I will do it only for the carbs, and it's not going to be for limited to limit the amount I'm eating. It will actually be to know that I'm eating enough. So I will make sure that I have at least 250 to 350 grams of carbs in the dinner. That will be the only case that I will use the scale. But it's, again, not to limit how much I need to eat. It's just to make sure that I had enough carbs, like I know that I need to eat in between 2 hard days or before a big day of racing.
Talking about eating, which is your favorite dish off the bike?
Burger. We say about the treats, really? not the healthy one.
the proper one, yeah. The one that you eat
the real one,
grandma. What about coffee stops? What is the coffee stop treat for the recovery day?
Coffee stop treat will be a nice slice of cake. We'll try to find a nice bakery. In Israel here, there are plenty of them. If we say also about one of my favorite dishes, that is actually not that bad in terms of nutrition. You just need to be careful with the amount you eat of it, and also the pita bread that you eat with it. But hummus, and Israeli hummus, will be a great dish for me, and it's one of my favorites.
I remember now that you mentioned Santa Julieta Bio, which is a friend of the podcast. It's like a local sourced farm with all sorts of bio products and everything. They have the other day put one hummus with beetroots on it. And we have made it at home. It was super easy to do it, and it was super nice. And it goes well with a lot of things. It's true.
Yeah.
I think the challenge here is to invite you to Brazil, serve you a nice feijoada, and then have you and Nicolas race. I don't know if you're familiar with feijoada. Feijoada is black beans with parts of pork. I'm not sure if your diet is restricted from them.
I'm not an Orthodox Jew, so I don't have a problem with eating pork. It sounds like it's quite hard to race after having this meal.
No. After that, you need a nice siesta to go on the beach and lay down there for some time. It's a good recovery post-race. Post-race dish.
Same thing goes to hummus. You will not want to eat it before you race or train.
Man, that's really nice. Thank you on the name of Gregario and all the Brazilian audience. Thank you so much, Guy, for the talk here. It was really nice to have you on the peloton here with us.
Thank you very much. Honored to be invited, and thanks for having me. Adios to everyone in Brazil. Not adios.
Ciao.
Ciao.